Welcome to Assembly Calendar. I'm Ted Flint. With us today, Assemblyman Ed Rah. Ed serves the 21st Assembly District, which includes Nassau County. Assemblyman Rah, nice to have you for your debut show here on Assembly Calendar.
Thanks for having me.
All right. And Assemblyman Rah has been here all of 30 days. We're going to go into your experience first, your background. You have experience in local government and zoning primarily, correct?
Correct.
All right. Why don't you fill us in on what you've been up to before you came here?
Well, I've spent a little over 2 years at the Town of Hempstead Town Attorney's Office. Did a wide variety of things there, but mostly zoning prosecutions, prosecuting zoning violations, and things of that nature. So I got the opportunity to spend a lot of time in court in front of a judge and really dealing with a lot of community issues and issues that different areas of the town were concerned with. So it was a good experience, and I think good preparation for what I'm doing here now.
I should have mentioned you're an attorney. I should have mentioned that up top. So you know how to frame an argument.
Yes.
You'll get plenty of opportunity as you spend time here, especially with the budget process. And a lot of the members of the Assembly are attorneys, are lawyers, which makes sense. I mean, if you're going to create law, it would stand to reason. It would work in your favor if you knew the law.
Yes, they are. I think there's a good lawyer joke in there somewhere.
I'll refrain. All right. Now, you were sworn in to the Assembly about a month ago as this program goes to tape. We're going to look at your swearing-in ceremony and a very proud moment for you and your family. You were present at the swearing-in. Let's look at it, and we'll take a look at that. Now we'll come back with Assemblyman Ed Rah.
And now from the 21st Assembly District, Mr. Edward Rah.
I, Edward Rah,
Do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of Member of the Assembly
the office of Member of the Assembly
of the State of New York
of the State of New York
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
It's been a very proud moment for you. Now, what prompted you to run for the Assembly? I mean, was there any one issue? What got you interested?
I don't know if there was any one issue. I have been around politics and the local politics for most of my life. I had the opportunity to work on a number of campaigns in the past for my predecessor Tom Alfano. So I saw a lot of the great things he's done in the community over the 15 or so years that he spent up here. And when he decided not to run for re-election, I saw an opportunity at this kind of time in the history of our state that we need to head in a little bit of a new direction. And being a younger person on Long Island, I felt that I could bring a fresh perspective on a lot of these issues.
And what's the one issue? Is it property taxes on Long Island? Is that the issue? Is that the most important issue down there?
I think it is. It's the one that everybody was talking about as we went around all fall campaigning, and it's one that's from the young to the elderly. It's something they're concerned with. The seniors are concerned with being able to stay in their homes in these communities that they have raised their families in, and younger people have grown up in these communities and are concerned about being able to stay there and ultimately raise their families where they grew up. So that is really the top issue amongst people right now on Long Island.
And, it was the cornerstone of the governor's campaign. Then, a candidate, Cuomo, and now he's made it, a cornerstone of his first term, or his, in office, is trying to get a hold on property taxes, which are crushing, really, especially on the island, but all over New York State.
Yes. Yeah, it's been very good to see the governor kind of harp on that issue and really realize that people are hurting both on Long Island and other parts of the state because of the property taxes. They are very burdensome, both on residential and on businesses. Sure. And it's good to see that we've started a very good dialogue on all parts of the state government to hopefully move towards getting those under control.
It's nice to have the governor on your side, a Democratic governor to boot. I know the conference has been pushing property tax reform for as long as I've been here, and longer than that, actually. But Let's talk about. Well, let's look at the governor's state message, and then we'll get your response to that, and we'll comment further with Assemblyman Ed Roth.
Another new year at the state capitol, bringing with it plenty of new faces.
Support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New York.
And legislative leaders looking for cooperation in a diverse House.
Whether it's Manhattan or Montauk or Binghamton or Buffalo, if we're helping each other, that's the message that our constituents are looking for across this state. I think we have an opportunity to take our state to a level that's never been before.
New Governor Andrew Cuomo gave his first annual State of the State message.
What is the state of the state? This is a time of crisis for our state, a time when we must transform our government to once again become the progressive capital of the nation.
The new governor utilized a number of visuals to graphically display what's wrong with state government.
I thought I heard a lot of the same ideas that I heard all along the campaign trail this past fall about creating jobs, about cutting taxes, and about getting New York back on track. And I hope that the spirit of cooperation that was expressed today by the governor and the speaker and the majority leader of the Senate just continues going forward, and we can all work together for a better New York.
The governor now prepares his first ever budget proposal.
And since this was that put together, that piece, the governor came out with his budget proposal, $133 billion, and he calls for some cuts in Medicaid funding, the state portion of Medicaid, just under $1 billion, cuts to education funding. There is no panacea to get a hold on property taxes, as we talked about before the show. I know a property tax cap has been mentioned. The governor proposing a 2% cap, kind of a hard cap, I guess, right?
Yes.
But you'd like to see some other things in addition to the property tax cap take place.
Yes, absolutely. I think the tax cap is a solution that can help work on the tax burden that we're facing on Long Island. But I think that, and this has been expressed to me by a lot of people locally, it's important to do some other things as well to really make this work the way we need it to. And that includes mandate relief, especially either funding or removing some of the unfunded mandates, and as well as putting in probably a spending cap up here so that we control our spending just like we're asking local schools and municipalities to do. So I think this whole kind of package of reforms can help get us to where we need to be in terms of both controlling and hopefully cutting back some of the taxes that are really weighing heavily on us.
Everything taken in together, obviously. I read something today where the state has been spending increases spending 5.7% on average every year for the last decade. And that's far surpasses personal incomes, tax receipts, the rate of inflation. That has to stop, obviously. I don't think that's even possible at this point, do you?
No, I don't think it is.
Now, you haven't been here. This is your first year here. This is the time of year where you get some very acrimonious budget battles and fights when there's talk of cutting anything or even reducing the rate of increase on funding for education or Medicaid. But as the governor pointed out, it's been written into the law that there have to be automatic increases of, I think, 13% every year. So if you talk about cutting back, say, 7% of that 13%, it's still a 6% increase. And that little budgetary sleight of hand has kind of gone unnoticed until this year. He's kind of shed the light on it. I think that's a good first step.
Yes, and I think like the governor stated, it's not as simple as just cutting this year and getting things on track. We do need to reform some of the fundamental ways in which we go about these things because some of these increases are just built right into the law. And in the long term, if we want to get them under control, we do need to change the way that's all done.
What's the atmosphere like in the assembly? I know it's very early yet at Chamber. What are you taking from that?
So far, I sense a lot of optimism about this session, both on our side of the minority. We have 17 new minority members who have all come from their respective parts of the state, and many of which bring kind of a new perspective on things, and they're optimistic about this session. And I think that there's been a lot of cooperation expressed both by the senior members and the minority and on the majority side, to all work together to get some of the things we feel we need to get done during this legislative term. So I think it's a very optimistic atmosphere right now.
I want to focus on education funding for a little bit now. There's this perception that Long Island doesn't need the money as much as New York City needs it. And there's that kind of battle waged every year, that most of the increase in education funding goes to New York City, and the Long Island contingents say, hey, what are we doing? We send more money to Albany than we get back. That's going to be obviously a priority for you, making sure Long Island gets its fair share.
Yes. That's something we spoke about all through the campaign last fall, is making sure Long Island gets our fair share. We educate about 17% of the students in the state, and we hope and really expect to get our portion of the education aid up around that 17% number, just to reflect properly the amount of the students that we are educating. So that's really what we're asking for at this point as a delegation from Long Island.
Is it ever at 17%? I know a lot of years it's half that usually, and
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it's gotten much lower than that number in recent years.
Mm-hmm. We've got about 3 minutes left. Other than property taxes, education funding, what other battles on the horizon do you foresee? Do you foresee a tough legislative session? What do you think?
I think there's a lot of important issues we're going to work on. There's the big picture issues that we've already talked about. Some of them. One of the other ones we know that's going to come up is the ethics reforms, which is something I think the public is very much expecting us to work on and do something with to, like the governor said, kind of restore the credibility of our government. So that's important. And then there's a lot of things that I think all different areas of the state have their representatives up here with ideas on how we can kind of increase our revenues up here to really help pad some of these budget shortfalls we have. I know one of the major areas I would like to work on going forward is in my own district. I represent the area that includes Belmont Park Racetrack, and the people of that area are seeing the VLTs come to places like Aqueduct, and want to see some redevelopment there at Belmont to help bring some much needed revenue into the community and hopefully to directly benefit our schools.
They are a proven generator of revenue, the VLTs, definitely. On ethics reform, do you find it surprising that Speaker Silver's come out in support of ethics reform? He's backing the governor's call for that.
It's good to see. I think
because it's been getting lip service every year since I've been here for 7 years. Oh, we need ethics reform. Ethics reform sounds good, but not. And there have been some reform, but really nothing with some serious teeth in it. The speaker's come on board this year.
Yes, and it's good to see it. Like I said, after the State of the State, the spirit of cooperation that we saw expressed that day, and I think so far has continued between the governor and Dean Skelos, the majority leader on the Senate side, and Speaker Silver has been very good, and I think that's a reason why I have expressed the optimism I have for this legislative session.
You were at the governor's breakfast this morning. The governor invited the Republican conference, and what did you take from that?
We heard a lot of the same things we've been hearing from the governor. He expressed a very good spirit of cooperation with us, that we all want to work together, which was good. He reminded us that even though we're in the minority, we're a crucial part of the budget process, and I think that was the biggest thing I'll take away from there is his kind of extending a hand to us to all work together on this budget process.
We are out of time. Assemblyman Ed Robb, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks
for having me.
All right. We'll see you soon. Thank you for joining us on this edition of Assembly Calendar. We'll see you real soon. I'm Ted Flint.